down. There we go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, what time it is where you're joining us from. And it's so exciting to say us. It is a Monday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, a winter one where I am. And therefore I say good afternoon, good people, or good evening, good people, depending on the preference that you have. I'm joining you from Johannesburg, South Africa. It's the top of the hour. It's the time for our appointment for the long-awaited Mindset Monday Season 2. And this season, I'm so excited because I'm not alone. I am joined. You can see that I'm actually wearing a dress with long sleeves and yeah, the fabric is actually heavy on my body. But my co-host today, GAO Motsemme, is joining me all the way from Germany. She is a freedom illuminator. She is a healthy, functional relationships intuitive coach, and she is also a transformational speaker. And I'm so honored to be co-hosting this season with her. GAO, let me hand over to you just to greet everybody who's joining us today before we tell them about what we are all about and what we are going to be sharing this space with them this afternoon about.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. And what is mostly exciting is the technology challenges we've been having. So when you know something is going to happen, that energy being heavy and a lot of things being on and off, you know it's going to be a good session. So how is my name? As already Zoliswa has said, I am a freedom illuminator, a disruptor. And I'm in Germany. It's summer here. So that's the beauty of technology because we can connect. It doesn't matter what season it is. It doesn't matter what time it is. And I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you, GAO. And of course, if it's your first time joining us, or just by way of a reminder, my name is Zoliswa Tshetshe. I am a transformation life coach, an inspirational speaker, a published author, and in terms of this capacity, I'm really your sister, just having a conversation with you, perhaps over a glass of water, a cup of tea, or whatever you choose to have in your hand. And I'm so doing it with the like-minded sister on the other side of the world. So today we're going to be talking about the AEIOU of transformation, not just any transformation, but we're talking about what is called personal transformation. So AEIOU, these are the vowels of transformation. We're basically going back to basics. This has become topical. The discussions that have to do with transformation have really become topical in the last few months. Among others, they have to do with the fact that we have really had time to come back and reflect, just slow down in terms of the busy activities of life because of the external circumstances, the pandemic, the lockdown, the regulations in different countries. And that got us to think about our own lives. And so we've had a lot of people talking about motivation, talking about information, talking about inspiration. We're talking about transformation today. And if you are a member of a corporate organization, you're probably going to be familiar with the language of transformation in terms of the organizational development or all the activities that have to do with that. But today, we choose to focus on the three fingers that are pointing at you when you are busy pointing at somebody else with the one finger. So you are our celebrity today. If you wish to send a comment, please ensure that you give permission to StreamYard to show your name so that we can see who is sending comments. We're so excited to have you here. We acknowledge our guests. We acknowledge our people who are joining us on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. We're doing a multi-stream simultaneously today. Yeah. Thanks to the beauty of the advancing technology capabilities. And so we're talking about the AEIOU of transformation. It's going to be a season with 5 weeks. So each week we are going to take 45 minutes. That is from 6 until 6:45. It's still going to be 6:40 until 6:45 by the end of it, I suppose, in Germany as well. They do 10 o'clock at some point towards the end of the year, but we don't have such in Southern Africa here. So we are going to be talking about the first letter today, the A. So the next week we'll take the next letter up until the 5th week, which will be the last one. So we get to talk about A today. And now, when we talk about the letter A, I have my own letter that comes to mind when I think of my journey of transformation and when I have to go back to basics and I have to remember who I am. And if I have gotten lost along the way, I remind myself of all of those vowels so that they can bring me back to the main path. I do have my own, but I'm going to allow my co host how, when we talk about A in the space of the IAEOU of personal transformation, what word comes to mind for you?
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. And for me, what is sticking out is one of the pillars that I use even in my program, which is authenticity. And authenticity is a tricky one. It's a lovely one, but it's a tricky one because there is different types of authenticity. The question is, where are you coming from? You can be authentic, but wounded authentic. You understand? Where you just flipping angry with everyone, life is happening to me and all that. It's a good thing to express your anger, but when you go below the anger, the underlying surfaces, there is more that you are just sort of like covering up with that, with the emotion of anger and all that. You might be authentic. I don't like this. I don't like this person. Life is full of crap and all that. And it's good to be authentic, because when you are there, I believe you are giving yourself permission for you to really be experienced by other people in that. And when people experience this wounded part of you, they will start pulling away, like, okay, we don't want to be around you, or things will start getting more messy and you will pay attention. So when you are coming from the healed, when you are held and you show up as authenticity, you are not coming from that emptiness of wanting to be validated by other people, of judging, of being ashamed of your past, because we wear them. Like when you have gone through that and healed all of that, you are not ashamed of it. It is part of you. Like we say, the past does not make you, but then it doesn't mean that you have to be ashamed of that, because that's an important part of your life that actually brought you where you are. It was a part of it, some of the aspect of you that were wounded or whatever that was happening in your life, but then it was protecting you. That's your protector. And most of the time you find that our gifts are lying in that which we are ashamed of, in that which we judge. That's where our gift is. But because we are so scared of it, because we are so scared of what other people would say, we shy away from that, and we hide that gift from ourselves. We let other people experience the part of us that we think is what they want to experience. We basically deny other people to experience our amazing uniqueness, that essence, that which we are, because as much as we are all one, the beautiful part of it is that we are unique. And your uniqueness might be hiding in that part of you that you judge. So I believe authenticity really is, it's one of the pillars that we have to really embrace, and let go of what would people think. And I'm
Mm.
excited to hear about your A. Yeah.
Before we talk about my A, I actually relate to what you're saying about authenticity. For me, authenticity means the vulnerability. Basically, it means that I am giving of myself to the world, to whoever I am serving. I'm just being me without having anything to worry about, without having to impress anybody. Who is that person that I am when I'm looking in the mirror and I just want to pour myself out and I don't want to create any kind of barriers? So that is what authenticity means to me. And it also has some kind of an acknowledgement of the fact that I am connected to the other people, because authenticity to me as an individual, yes, it does serve me, because it means that I don't have to have some kind of a jacket of something that doesn't, a size that doesn't fit me. But it also is relevant to the people that I'm going to be contacting or getting into contact with, which is when your healthy functional relationships come in, which we're going to be talking about just now. My
What you
word
say?
is alive. And this is the story about the word alive. It came into my consciousness about 5 years ago or so, I attended what I thought was a workshop. I still don't know what to call it. Well, I was told that this is a workshop and it is a transformational workshop that I was attending. It was a 5-day event. And so the first 4 days, where it started on a Wednesday, yes, the first 4 days were really working on me, very hectic in the sense that I had to, they were putting a mirror and allowing me to have a look at my life. And you know, when you're looking at, just imagine when you look at your body and you feel like, I don't like this part about me anymore. I seem to have been absorbed into the system. I'm no longer the same way as I was before. It was more than that, because it was sort of going into the soul, the core of the being, the core of who I am. And so on the 5th day, I remember the Sunday morning, this is now the 5th day, and the song played. We were outside, we were a group, it was a group session. So we were a group of about 62 people. And so the song played that says, "Come in now into the main hall." And so when we walked in, the space was just different. There was some awesomeness about this space. And it's something that I couldn't really put my finger on it and say exactly what it was, but it was like there is the presence of a higher power that I can't explain in words. And at the end of that song, there were 2 facilitators. The main facilitator, he was an old man already in his retirement age. He greeted us. He said, "Good morning." And I remember people greeted, "Good morning." And his first words after the greeting were, "Are you alive?" I remember some people saying yes and giggling like, I mean, what are you talking about? We're here. Why would you ask if we are alive? And the other people going like, is that a trick question? Yes. And I didn't respond. This all happened within a split second. I do remember that I touched my wrist to feel the pulse. I put my hand on the chest to just to hear if there is the sound of the breathing that's taking place there. And I pinched my thigh. "Are you alive?" And I did not respond, because before I could respond, he said, "Let's find out." That was the beginning of a journey for me to try and understand, what does it mean to be alive? What is the life purpose? Why am I breathing this oxygen that may be limited around here? Why am I alive? What does it mean to be alive? And so that is how my story of adoption of the word letter A in the AEIOU of transformation came in. And you will find similarities really in terms of when you are alive, it means that whether you were you had just been born, you are coming into a new space, you are coming into a world that you did not exist in before, or you you were dead, you are coming back from the dead, you are alive once again. It means there is a difference in the state. There is a difference in the state, and there is the acknowledgement of who you are and who you are presenting yourself as in the world, which is similar to what you were talking about when it comes to.
I love that, because they relate. How my understanding of that is just that we are here, we are born on this world, we are walking this earth, but then things are just happening by default. We are not really present with what is happening. We just go by living the life. And as I was talking about authenticity as well, it's just like, I believe I'm one person who has been authentic from whenever, and this is why I never really fit in, even at home or wherever. I never really fit in. But still, even though I thought I was authentic, I was there are certain things. There is this little child of mine that really wanted to be that approval, to be accepted and all that. So I held back at some point so that I can fit in. I had to find a way to be accepted by everyone. I had to dim my light and all that. And the more I did that, because I wanted to be accepted, the more the other people also gave me that, because what you give out is what you get back. And the beauty of authenticity at the same time is just that when you are authentic, even if you are coming from the wounded perspective, people are going to give you back the authenticity, which is basically being of service, telling you that, no, this is crap. You know, you have to look at how you're behaving. You have to look at that your life is crap. You might not admit it and all that, which for me, this, to shift from really wounded to now really the authenticity, which I totally own and love, was when I was totally broken, when I separated with my children. That was when an identity that I had, which is the identity that most women we hold so much into, you know, we forget who we are the moment we have children to sort of own that identity of being a mother, and we run with it. We forget who we are. And for me, that point when I was broken, something within me, especially when you look into the society, a woman is a woman who has a child. And now imagine, as much as I thought, okay, fine, I had my career that I actually did not like, you know, and as much as I did not like it, there is a part of me that kind of like took pride because I wanted people to see me this way. And this is how we also get lost in everything, because someone who is a cleaner, someone who is a driver, someone who's doing something, a gardener, no matter how down you look at that, if they love it, they are alive. You understand? If they are present with what they're doing, there is liveness in that. So for me, I lost that identity that was approved in the society. Like my approval child that needed to be approved and accepted kind of like dissolve one day. It was sort of like snapped away from me, and I went with this wounded authenticity of having to explain all that happened to everyone, because things are not fair. I was in this victimhood and all that, and it gotten darker. And eventually people came to me and they were just telling me straight, and they told me, they got me out of that at the moment when I was totally finished, because it was not only that I was not with my children. One of my daughter actually was bitten by dogs, and that was a life and death situation, and I'm just grateful that she's alive. We didn't know if she was going to walk, and they just called me out and said, hey, can you just look at your energy? Can you just look at what is going on? And I was pissed off. How dare you say that? When I went into the social workers thing, I went there with entitlement, with how, you know, there was just a lot of anger and all that. And the more I showed up in that wounded authenticity, the more they gave me back what I had to look into. And when I sat down, because I was on the seventh lawyer, when I sat down, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go to the lawyer because now I've got something to show. That my child has been wounded, what. That's when my higher self came through. Spirit said, you can go ahead, but you are going to lose this case again. You are not going to win. You have to work on yourself. You know, that's when I was like, okay, I don't like it, but whatever, because I want to have my children, you know? So that's when the true authenticity, which is, I'm not attached to being called bad. I'm not attached to the approval. I'm just showing up to serve, and I'm serving whoever who is showing up. Some people would say, she's this amazing, nice person. Some people would say, I just don't like her attitude. And it's okay. You understand? It's okay, because I'm not here to make anyone comfortable. I'm not here to appraise you. You know, if you don't appreciate who you are, then I'm just going to show up probably in that, showing you that, hey, be your mirror. And I expect people to show up as my mirror, because that's when we grow the best. That's when we evolve. Yeah.
You said two things actually that I want to bring to the surface here. The first one is you spoke about the wounded authenticity. So the wounds that you have experienced along the journey, these are the wounds which I believe were there to show you the way. Because if you are going to stand in front of people and tell them about what authenticity means, you should be able to say, it means this to me, and I have a personal kind of a relationship that has taught me a lesson. So when I think of being alive, for example, when I think of life, our mentor, Lisa Nichols, our mentor, that is you and I, talks about the dash between the birthday and the death day. And she says, live your life with the highs and the lows as if it's a stock market. The dance between the birthday and the death day of your life must be so interesting and so exciting that as you live your life, telling a story which will result in you a legacy. Now, as I go, if you're quite familiar, anybody who is familiar with the stock market will, or any form of investment, will understand that when the bonds go higher, when the graph goes up, it's your opportunity for you to buy. So it's your opportunity for you to acquire certain things. And when the graph goes down, you have to let go, you have to sell. So it's a buy sell relationship. And that's exactly what happens in our life as we express our authenticity. We come to be aware of things that we need to sell, things that we need to release and let go of, such as negative beliefs about who we are. Those that are like, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy, everybody else can do this, but I can't. Everybody else can have children, but even though I've given children to my own, they are being taken away from me. So those are the cell ideas. Those are things that we need to let go of so that we can see clarity. And in this, as we let go of certain things, we're creating a space where we now have a room to accept new things. These are now supporting beliefs. These are encouraging beliefs that are going to take us to the next level, on condition that we buy well, on condition that we understand what's happening in this proverbial stock market. In other words, on condition that we understand what our lives is all about. And you're not going to understand what your life is all about until you let go of everything and be authentic and be yourself. You are an accountant. You have CMA studies, among others. I'm an MBA graduate, but I'm a coach, and I left the corporate world because I wanted to completely immerse myself into following my life purpose. And that is exactly what happens in a space of being in the space of being authentic, in the space of being alive, and in the space of trying to understand what your life is all about. So that's the first woundedness is the first one that you came up with. And then the second one is when your story happened, when you became aware that there was a shift in the way that you've seen authenticity, because you said that you've always believed that you were an authentic person, but there was a shift. What triggered you to embrace the new interpretation of authenticity as you saw? What connects? You know why I'm raising this question? Because information is everywhere. Information gets presented to us all the time, but we don't take it and apply it in our lives for different reasons. And so why you apply it? Why did you bring this new meaning into your life in such a way that you became the person that you are today?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, which I'm just wondering, where should I start with it? Because for me, since I was a child, there is something that was happening behind my mind, which I could not explain. And as much as it was quite interesting, especially with dreams, there was a part of me that was ashamed of that. I had this premonitions, and there are a few people that I discussed with to say, you know what, this happened. I mean, I dreamt about this before it happened. At times it's as silly as someone losing a phone. At times it's a big thing as someone losing their life. At times it's an accident. At times it's things being stolen and all that. And because people will be like, that's weird. And a part of me did not want to be weird. I wanted to be normal, you know? So these are things that I sort of like hid away. But as much as I went through with the whole society, whatever, and religions and all that, there are things that I personally did not agree with. And I went the other way because I did not understand, which was also a judgment from my parents to say, you are better when you're going to church and all that. But then there was that communication that was happening. As much as I was like climbing and all that, there was a time when I would realize that I'm not dreaming anymore. And then I'll take a break from going out clubbing or drinking, and I'll connect with that. So I knew that there is the conversation that was happening. And my life events, I had a point where everything was stolen from me, even a passport, like totally everything. And amazing thing is someone will say, can you come with me? Let's go check someone. And someone, a psychic, will tell me that, you know, you are not doing what you are here to do. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. But then I didn't know how to do it because I did not, at the core of my being, I did not agree with all that was. But then I didn't want to do whatever the normal, you know. So I went with life, and my life happened because the job that I had as an accountant in one of their companies that was mostly respected, my position was made redundant. And as I was going through that phase, that's when the whole case with the kids started again. So it was just a whole lot of mess. And as I said, the more I went deeper, because some of these things, when they were happening, I would know that they will happen. You know, even the whole case thing, I would know that it will happen through my own dreams and all that. But the question that I've been asking myself all along was like, why would I be shown things? You know, especially bad things. And talking about bad and good, which is one of the things that we are attached to say something is bad, something is good. So we want the good. And then there is this whole world of information where it's like positive, positive, positive. And it's like you have a dirty plate, and then you just have some nice food, well seasoned, and you take them and just put them in this dirty plate, you know, before you can release those things that are not serving us. And when you talk about, there is a point when you know, and what is the measuring thing to say this is not good for me? You know, when you let go of good and bad, when you say, when am I not in alignment? Because I felt that is more, it fits better. When am I not in alignment? You will feel. But we are afraid of feeling again because it's painful. You know, we are mostly out of our body. We just go being in our head, thinking and reading a lot of books, which I did. I personally did. I read a lot of books, and they brought some new ideas and all that. But there was somewhere where I had to sort of like break from the mind to now go to the heart. This is where now you start, like I said, you connect your unique personality with your soul. You know, I feel our power is in that. When you bring these two together, that's when you really realize how an amazing person you are. That's when you sort of, like you say, you connect to the higher power. You start getting those intuition and all that. And if you get in them and you are afraid that, oh, I might be weird and all that, that's the weirdness that truly has our power. And it's time we let go of judging it, but embracing it. You know, and this is, for me, this is the power that I sort of like resisted for a long time. I did not want to be associated with all the psychic, what not what, or even be a witch. How did you know that? But now I don't care. You know, you call me a witch, bring it on. You know, that's where my power is, because most of us, especially women, we are witches. We are very intuitive. We have those powers. But because we are more in competition with the women, with the men, we want approval at the same time from the men. Even when we get high positions, we are competing because we want approval from the other men. I want to show men that I can do this. Therefore, we wear the masks of masculinity, and we are going to fail many times when we are working from that perspective of power and all that power that is toxic, because we have been led by patriarchy in many areas, religions, whatever. We don't want to talk about it, but when we are emerging and realizing who we are, and we come from the competition, then we're going to struggle. But when we sit with our own divine feminine, when we sit and own our power and know that being vulnerable is not a weakness, we are going to birth a new generation that will be connected. Our divine masculine energy and the feminine energy and the masculine energy, they're going to be balanced. And that's the world that we desire to live in. I don't know if I answered your question, but those are things that came through.
Yes, and I see beautiful comments coming from the people that joined us. You are most welcome, welcome, welcome. Lee says, the power, I remember when I realized that I realized the power that I'm having was amazing. Okay, I may have misinterpreted
Yeah,
something.
truly.
There's those limiting beliefs again. I've been hearing a lot about them in the last week. So it looks like the topic of today is relevant to the people that we are called to be speaking to today. This time of
I like also, I just want to say hi, Chin, because I haven't said it. And I love what Tule said here, or the pain of feeling. The pain of feeling, because that's a huge one. We are afraid to feel. And I know, you know, at times we know, I don't talk a lot about this. At times we know things that happened. And when we think about it, we feel that it's better to just totally block it out. I don't want to feel. And I personally know, because I have been in the marriage that did not work. So I'm a divorcee, and I wear that crown with a smile. And it didn't work because, you cannot change how other people think. You cannot feel the emotions for other people. We all have to do them by ourselves. This is why when we are in our head, we are bypassing the most important thing. Because if you can feel our emotions, you don't have to pay someone to do it. But because it's so painful, this is why you need someone to help you release those heavy ones. But I was in a relationship with an amazing person, but because they didn't want to feel their emotions, they were kind of like driving their life and all that. And because I'm feeling other people's emotions and all that, for me it was not comfortable to stay in that relationship, especially if someone, like for instance, my ex-husband didn't believe in energy work. So they just believe that they have to do the therapy talking and all that, which I believe he tried and it did not work. So for him, it was like nothing would work. But then those emotions are there. You have many experiences, and it gets more messy and messy and messy and messy. And eventually, what do? You numb them either with alcohol, with drugs, with sex, with food. When you talk about food, especially, food is just food, but it does more damage because we're just hiding, covering up a lot of things that we do not want to feel. So that's a huge one for a lot of us.
This time of our lives, where regardless of which country you are at, I don't know if you in Germany are still on lockdown at the moment, but we still are, even though it's an ease level for us in South Africa here. But this is a moment where when we're looking for certain answers, we don't find them. We're trying to understand what is happening. What the heck is this pandemic all about? Because it's holding us back from living the lives that we're used to. So even if you are in a 5-star hotel, or even if you are in your mansion, but the fact that you are locked down and you are there against your own will, you cannot go where you want, when you want, sort of makes you feel like you are imprisoned, and it gets you to think. I have realized that this whole the discussion of transformation, authenticity, and being alive is not so much about you than it is about who you are in relation to the other people. And in your space of relationships, not just any relationships, but relationships that are functional, relationships that are healthy, what would you say is the role that authenticity plays when earlier on I spoke about me being alone and not having anyone to impress, looking at myself in the mirror and saying, here you are, girl, this is who you are. But when it comes to relationships, what is the role that is played by authenticity, and why is it important, if any?
There's one word that I want to get to, where you said we felt imprisoned. And as much as that prison, it brought up a lot. I love to say, when things are happening, I love to say, can you just feel what is happening for you? Can we, I know there is COVID and all that, but now when you get out of COVID and say, how am I really feeling? For me, I felt there was a lot of that prison that we have been in for a long time, for many generations. We've been in that prison, and the emotions that were coming through, a lot of things that were coming through, were not only related to COVID, but it brought up a lot because it put us in situations where we have never been before. So when you talk about authenticity and how it works, honest authenticity basically is authenticity with the relationship that you have with yourself. We have to start from there. How do you relate to yourself? How do you beat yourself, even when because I know that there were times when I was in meeting, for instance, and while I was sitting there, I'm just afraid to say, I hope whoever who's hosting the meeting does not ask me any questions, because I don't even know how I'm going to answer that. I'm just ahead of everything. I'm in that corner where I'm like, I'm just flipping afraid. And then some days I'll get the energy to say something, and then afterwards, why the hell did I even say that? Then I'll beat myself again to say, I spoke up, I shouldn't. Now they know how stupid I am. You understand? That's you beating yourself. A relationship is failing. What do? You blame it on yourself. I messed up, I'm not enough. And then you go look out for somebody and say, oh, that's the girlfriend. And she's like that, she's like that, she's like that. And that means, you start judging yourself with that, and you want to make yourself better by maybe looking down on the other person. And there's just a lot of things, even with your children, how your children are behaving, because now there is other people maybe cheering up on whatever achievement that children has, and you're like, if my children doesn't do well, then it's my fault. We blame ourselves, we beat ourselves. That's the relationship with ourselves. We talk about God all the time, but the truth of it all, even with other people, if you cannot hear yourself, there is no God that can hear you, because the God is within you. If you cannot hear or listen to yourself, other people won't, because you do not hear or believe or listen to whatever that you're saying. So when you are out there most of the time, people will also see you from out there. They do not really see the specific person that is here. It's here with wherever that you are. So authenticity is just, for instance, with this imprisonment that we are in, it's just to feel your emotions, see where you're at. And if you feel like shit, don't pretend and make a selfie and say, oh, I feel like, or just distract yourself by focusing on news and all that, because that's one distraction that is happening. Call it as it is. I feel like shit. I feel lonely. This COVID, blame it on it or whatever. Because as much as we talk about victimhood and all that, it's one stage where we have to begin. If you feel like life is happening to me, it's shit. That's when you start being alive, because you are realizing that something does not add up. But if you're just going along as if nothing is happening, and you read the news and you talk about that, then you are not here with yourself. So I feel authenticity starts with you owning up whatever that is. Do not judge it with good and bad. Say this shit is happening. If it is happening, it's happening, because that's when other people can pay attention and say, how can I help you? They listen to you, you talk, and if you are open to take it further, you can. Or, it starts from there. If you are not authentic with yourself, that means you are not living. You are just going through with whatever that is happening. Your life is happening by default. You are not even aware that something is happening to you or through you. There's just a lot of different things that happen in different, I don't want to call it level, because there are times we are attached to that, but we just go through it. You can be maybe successful in your career and all that, and you feel like, oh, I have it all. But when it comes to your family, you feel like you're a victim. And it's okay to own it up. To say, what, my children treat me like this, my siblings treat me like this, my mother treats me like this. That's when we start to see what is it that we have within us. Or my partner treats me like this, because when you feel like powerless, you attract those people who are going to show you where you feel less. And I have been in those kind of relationship where it's like, oh, who do you think you are? Like that love, and then kind of like beat me up, and then they come and show me that I still have you, girl. You understand? It's a dance between you are nothing, I love you, and without me, you can't be anything. So it's that kind of thing, until I realized, no, I don't need someone to really tell me who I am and what I am. I can really own that up, but I had to do some work.
It requires some kind of an awareness. I like that you're saying things are happening. It doesn't mean that they are not happening, and we shouldn't lie and say they are not happening. However, when you are alive and you're going up and you're going down, it means that there is an activity, some kind of actions, authentic steps that you are taking to change the situation to the extent that you can. You may not be able to change the cause. For example, you may not be able to change the pandemic, but you would change the way you view, or the way that you are looking at what is happening around you, and say, what is the best that can happen out of this situation? What is my role, that little contribution that I have to make, so as to create some kind of a change in this situation? Because the fact that you are alive means that there is some responsibility on you. The fact that you are aware of the authenticity that is required of you means that you are like a piece of a puzzle. And without you expressing that authenticity, then there will be something that is lacking, because everybody is going to play their own role, but you are not playing your own role. You are copying somebody else when all the originals are already taken. But there is an original in you, which is the authentic self that is not being expressed. So
I'm just getting chills. I'm getting chills when you talk about an original that you are not willing to bring forth, an original that you are not willing to embody, a magnificent being that has been with you before you were even born, that which knows your beauty and everything. It has been with you even when you felt like nothing, in the darkness, the things that you are not even willing to share with everyone, that being that you are. That being is waiting for you to totally come forth and dance with it. I'm getting chills, and I had to pop in and say that. Yeah.
It's like being in labor when the time has come and this new being says, right now, I want to recreate myself anew. And I want to come out to this world, and I want to announce my presence in this world and say, hello, world. I am here, and I'm going to take my own space, as our Miss Universe of this 2019, who is serving right now, said. Take your space and cement yourself. And if you don't take that space and cement it, there's going to be a hole, literally a hole. And anybody else, in terms of the relationships that you are involved in, who happens to pass by, will fall into that hole because you have not carried out your own responsibility. Tule talks about the conflict between me and me, the small me and the big me. You spoke about the God, and there is a superpower, there is a higher power that we all have. We may call it different things. I call mine God, and other people may say that that God, as in heaven somewhere. If you haven't flown, you would think that he is somewhere in the sky, and I did look for him in the sky the first time that all flight.
I did too.
Actually, he's actually closer, and I love that he is closer, because when I say it's the conflict between the small and the big me, I choose as to which me am I going to allow to operate. And I choose the big me because the big me, which is the authenticity, has nothing to hide and doesn't have to work hard at expressing and being itself. So we have a few minutes left. There is somebody that is sitting in Maung, somebody that is sitting in KwaZakele. Oh yes, this is Maung to the world, KwaZakele to the world, even though I'm based in Joburg and you're based somewhere in Germany right now. But those are our roots. That's where we came from, Botswana and South Africa. So there is some girl or some boy, for that matter, who is sitting in KwaZakele, and or some girl and some boy who is sitting, whether it's in Kasane, in Maung, in Gaborone, wherever, and they are saying, I would love to understand more about what you are talking about, and I don't have any clue. These conversations are just higher grade for me. How does a person get hold of GAO?
Facebook. It has made our life much easier. You can just connect with me on my profile, GAO Motsemme, or go to my groups. I have Healing Fractured Families. We talk about family issues. We all have them. You know, we have family issues. We don't have to hide them, but we have to embrace that, because that's the divine marriage that we agreed into before we came here to say, I'm going to come up and I'm going to be an asshole. Let me just say that, so that you can finally remember who you are, so we cannot run away from them when they are showing up and say, I know which part to trigger in you, so that you can remember. So we talk about that Healing Fractured Families. That is for ladies, and the one that is more combined is Healthy Functional Relationship, is for men and women, where we go deeper about this. And there's my website, gaomotsemme.org. You can also go there. And there is something that I just wanted to say shortly before we part, because you mentioned it about life happening. I wanted to say this. I'm going to do a video about this, but listen, whatever that is happening right now, just listen, because that's the message for you. Listen, even if you have been laid off at work, listen to that message and say, what is it? What does this mean for me? What is it that wants to be birthed right now? Because as you say that we have this labor pains, those are your labor pains that are showing up. So when you pay attention, a relationship has ended, pay attention. The labor pains, what is it that is coming forth? Because that is preparing you for something new and bigger. So it's time for us to pay attention to our life and say, okay, I see. and get excited.
Everyone ever been in labor before will understand that after those labor pains, there will be a pronouncement that says, congratulations, you've just given birth to a baby, bouncing, perfect baby boy or baby girl. And after that listening, that's exactly what will happen. And it will be happening on this space again next week, same time on Monday at 6 p.m. And I will still be joined by GAO Motsemme, where we'll be talking about the letter E of AEIOU of transformation. This is Zoliswa Tshetshe on Mindset Monday, and I am so grateful to have shared the space with you. I trust that you are going to apply the information that has been made available to you, because what I want for myself, I want for everybody. Goodbye.